you have an ace in the hole, though. One card that trumps all arguments. All you gotta do, coach, and you know what I'm talking about, is be like, hey, man, you think you got it right now? I played Jordan. Like that, come on. So for those who don't know, so the people who are listening and watching this, this guy right here, and we're talking about Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the Jordan, number 23, the GOAT. I mean, he needs no further introduction. So I just want you to tell me everything and anything you can about that experience.
Well, I think
that's like lucky. You're the closest to a godlike figure. You know I never met anyone that played against Jordan. That's almost like, in a way, it tells me that everything is possible because you were once in striking distance from him, and now here I am. So in a weird way, I feel like I'm connected to him because, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we're all just human beings, and we're sitting here in small town Hickville, Dessel, middle of nowhere, but here you are, and I'm talking to you, and that's just, I like to just sometimes express extreme gratitude for certain moments. I think sometimes we're moving too fast, and this is one of those moments that I am really sitting here talking to you, and that's an achievement in its own, both for me as for you. Like, look at the road you traveled.
No, but I'm like, I'm more. I'm honored to sit here with you, and I'm so proud of you, even though we're not like we're not hanging out, but like from the moment I reconnected with you a few years ago, you're someone that is, you even though we don't get on the phone, I thought of you comes to my mind.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, you're right there. You're right there. Like,
I remember I saw you, I was like, Coach, I'm about to go to Colombia. You're like, man, Colombia, you sure about that? I was like, yeah, Coach, I'll send you some videos. And I remember sending you pictures of vlogs from me in Colombia, living it up. And you always gave me such a nice and warm, supportive feeling, that's, and anytime we connect, there is this comfort level that you cannot manufacture. It's a click, either it's there or it's not.
It's there.
But please go on with the Jordan story.
Well, no, there's really, I think you get it, because I'm from Victoria, British Columbia, so it's the West Coast, and in California, in Westwood, in Los Angeles, the campus of UCLA is there. And at that time, in the mid-'90s, early part of the '90s, the late part of the '90s, they're some of the best players in the world. Well, Magic Johnson had his traveling team because he was, just into his retirement. And he was still touring and traveling around the world with essentially a group of his friends who were like obviously really good players, and they would play at UCLA, Pauley Pavilion, every day. My friend, who was an actor, my best friend, a guy named Howard Doe, who you should have on this show, by the way.
I would love to. I would love to.
He was living and working in Los Angeles, and I would go down, every summer. And we would go and try to get into pickup games. So they have like all the best college players, and they have all the best, it would be like an NBA. It was like an NBA All-Star gathering there. And, to get on the court, once you got on, you play games to 15 by 2s and 3s. And if you lose, oftentimes you would not get back on the court again. So you can imagine the intensity of the competition to stay on. Mm-hmm. So I remember I got on, it was the first week that I was there, because oftentimes I would spend 3 weeks down there, and we would train every day at the track, and then we'd go play in these pickup games. And the first week I got there, I met befriended or just got along really close with a guy named Sadeo Threet, who was an ex-NBA player, played for the Bulls and played for the Lakers, and so at the end of his career he played overseas. Awesome guy, like an incredible guy, and he just like came to me and he saw me. I think he saw me as who's this Canadian guy? Like, there's this guy that it's hard for him. He's trying to get on the court, and we started shooting around every day, and we were working out a little bit together. And he had no ego at all. He was just so kind. He was like, and I would think it was like the third or fourth day. He said, why don't you come down to Warner Brothers Studios? Because at that time, Michael was filming Space Jam.
Space Jam.
And they created this, and you know, he was talking about this court that they created, that they brought over a court from Long Beach State, and they made a makeshift gym, full on with universal equipment, a putting green, and relaxed lounge area. And they said that they've created this for Michael because he demanded that, because if he was going to be filming long hours, that he wanted to be able to, because that was just the summer after they had lost, after his comeback, his half-year comeback, and they lost to Orlando in the playoffs. And he says, I'll do it, but I'll do it only if I can bring my people with me, my staff. Tim Grover was his, personal trainer, and he was with him, 24 hours a day. And Tim was the guy that was manufacturing all these games and organizing, signing people in, taking documentation and who was there. And again, it was like the best players in the world were there.
Reggie Miller, Magic Johnson, all the greats.
Everybody, everybody. And so so I had talked to Sadale about this on Tuesday, and he says, hey, come down to Warner Brothers Studios. You're on the list. And I was I'm on the list. And I didn't think it was true. But when we drove down there with my friend, we got to the security gates, and the guy said, and we gave my name, and he said, yeah, go on through. I'm like, you're joking.
Couldn't believe it.
That Sadale actually had made this happen, because without Sadale, it probably wouldn't have. I wouldn't have gone in. So, anyways, I get in there and I get, we got there early.
Of course you did. Of course.
And I walked in. It was empty. So I just walked in and I saw it was like state of the art. Like, it was just unbelievable. And then about 30 minutes later, Reggie Miller walks in. After that, Reggie Theus walks in. After that, Charles Barkley walked in.
Oh my God!
Magic walked in, and but MJ wasn't there yet, and I was like, great, And so we're on the court, we're shooting around, and Sadale and I were passing the ball to each other and getting some shots up. And then Mike came in, just walked in, and I remember he walked in and he had two people behind him carrying boxes, and Tim Grover was with him, and Mike just kind of came in and he sat down and he opened up, I think, about 4 or 5 boxes and was looking at shoes, and he put a pair of shoes on, and then I'm standing under the basket at that moment, and I didn't want to stare at him sitting there, getting ready to come on the court, because I had noticed him there, and then I went back to, doing what I was doing, just getting ready.
Trying to act cool, trying to act like
normal.
Like you belong. Yeah, like you belong there.
And so then the next moment, because I was looking in another direction, my vision turned to the left, and he's standing right beside me. He's standing right beside me under the basket, waiting for a ball to come through. And I just caught myself because on TV he's listed at 6'6". But the first impression that I had was he's not that much taller than me. Like, that was kind of the weird thing. It was like, and then I found myself looking down at I started at his shoes, and then I started looking up his calf. And I remember his calf was like it was like a large pamplemousse.
Yeah.
And he had, I remember from his heel up, there was like a tube, like about this big, a vein, one single vein. It was just like enormous. It was like, I'd never seen anything like that before. And then when it hit the calf, it branched off into 5 fingers, and the veins were about as big as my fingers. And I was just like, this guy is just like, it's just his legs, like that was it's just his presence, huh? And he said, he just kind of looked at me, and he said, "You okay?" And I said, "I'm all right." I said, "I'm all right." He says, "Okay, you run with me. You can run with us."
Nice.
So the fact that he didn't know who I was, and he just invited me to play on his scrimmage team.
Yeah. And
so I'll give you the abridged version. So skip forward 7 games later, we're still on the court. So you win, you stay on. Right?
Oh my God! You're passing all the balls to Michael. I can imagine.
No. I mean, Michael was dominating the play. I mean, he was like creating, but because people didn't know who I was, and people were helping. When Michael's creating and going into the the one-on-one mode, anyone that was guarding me was always giving more in a more help position.
Right.
And he was zipping the ball over to me, and I just got hot. And like it could have been that if I missed my first 2 or 3, I would have been maybe out of it. But I just started knocking down, and Mike was talking like, don't leave that guy open anymore. So he was giving me, he was
boosting you up.
So my best friend was there, and he was trying to document it with video, but they didn't allow any video camera there.
God.
But my best friend said he was like this. His eyes were like this, and he's like, "This is unbelievable. This is incredible." Yeah. So, and 2 moments just to finish up.
Please stretch. Hey, don't feel obliged to finish this one up.
3 moments. 3 moments.
This is basketball porn for me. Like, I could listen to these stories all day long. Keep going, please.
So the first thing was in one of the runs, I was matched up with Reggie Miller, and of course he was what he is. He was a tremendous shooter, and he was moving all over the place off the court.
Coming off screens.
He was coming off screens, and they were setting screens for him. And I just remember just saying, "I'm going to lock this guy. I'm going to follow him and I'm going to make it. I'm competing. Like, you have to compete. If you don't compete, you can't stay on the court." So I was chasing him, and I was like really giving him, and he was giving me some nice shots and some dirty play. And I remember him at one time, he stopped and he just looked at me when the play was going on, like get off of me. I was like, it's like, hey, I'm here to compete.
Yeah.
I'm here to play. And I remember Michael was making comments. I can't clarify what those comments were because I was so locked in to that, but he was like going, let him know, and so I remember that. The second thing was, there was one moment when, because you have to understand, there's a lot of NBA All-Stars and NBA, they're all NBA players or top players, and they're sitting there waiting, trying to get on the court, and so people don't know me. And so during one of the runs, somebody was saying something like, hey, why is that guy, or it was something to the event of like, why is he on the court? Michael stopped, grabbed the ball, stopped the play, and he said, are you going to play defense like that? Are you going to play that hard? Yeah, right, I didn't think so. Let's play. So he didn't know me, but he just respected, I guess, the fact that I was, just working, giving best effort and just playing as hard as I could. And so the fact that, I wish I could have, that is mine. It's just a special moment to think about that thing that he stood up for me, somebody that was just like,
He saw something in you that Michael Jordan respected. He saw something about you, the way you were carrying yourself, the way.
No, I think just competing, just playing as hard as I would probably categorize it as spit and blood. I think I was like so hyped up and so ultra competitive in this moment, and this blessed moment, because you may not ever have an opportunity to do this.
It's so important for you to talk about this, because Michael Jordan always gets depicted as this alpha dog. I'm gonna bark and yell at everyone. There's no place for like sympathy or like. It's so important that you talk about this side of Michael, where he saw you and he was like, I'm gonna stand up for this guy.
And that changed. I had looked up to him, but that was like so unbelievable.
Wow.
And then and for me, the biggest memory that I had. Well, there's 2 more actually. After the scrimmage and after the run, we sat down, and everyone was already going away, and he was still there with his trainer, getting stretched. He had ice on, and he was just sitting down. And so I think I got some more shots up. I might have got some shots up with Sadeo. I can't remember exactly. But then I saw him sitting there, and almost everybody was out of the facility, and I went over and I just sat down beside him. Same thing, but I started stretching, and he just started talking to me, and he just said, and I think it was something that he was, it was that internal voice and storyline and motivational storyline that I think that he repeated to everybody, and I think frequently. But he said, you know, and it's so funny when I saw the documentary, the same theme came up, and the theme came up with everybody, that he came back, his body wasn't conditioned for basketball. He was just had to go with baseball. And his body was not, you know, the muscle memory and the overall basketball conditioning wasn't ready. But he said to me, my mind said that I can will myself to do this, that I can carry this team like I did before to a championship. And then the story goes in the Orlando series, right? And he said, my mind thought I could do it, but my body just didn't follow me. And he said, and when he was talking, he was looking straight ahead. He wasn't really looking at me. He was just like, it was almost like he's going through this discussion a lot. But then at the moment that he said that, he turned to me and he said, but you know, that's never, ever going to happen again. I'm never going to let down my teammates. I'm never going to let down my coach and my organization ever again. And so why that's important is if you think about what happened the next 3 years. 3 championships. Yeah. So the fact that he had that conversation with me, so everyone can watch that. So everyone can watch that documentary and be, yeah, it is what it is, what you see. I mean, you can't get any more authentic than that, I don't think. But the fact that he said that to me and that I have that in my mind, I have just how mentally driven and focused and competitive. There was also a situation where the runs were starting to go down. The intensity of the scrimmage started to go down. So it started to diminish, you know, which can happen after about 10 or 11 or 12 runs, and it starts to get down because you're into probably 2 hours, right? Because sometimes the games go a long time because everyone's fighting for calls. There's no referees there, so people are like, that's a foul, that's not a foul, you know, that sort of thing. But Barkley was on the court on the other team at this time, and he was like, you know, he was kind of joking. He was kind of goofing around, you know, like Charles. And Mike just grabbed the ball again, and he said, "You fucking guys are, and you want to fool around, and you want to play around. I'm here to get better." I said, you guys gotta play. And we gotta play harder. And you gotta understand that that's on the court was like essentially an NBA All-Star gathering. So his peers and then some. And that when he said that, and his reaction, for the next 25, 30 minutes, the intensity went back up again because he was the model to follow. And he didn't, and it's just a practice scrimmage, but it's like, why are we here if you're gonna be, you know, screwing around and not playing hard, not playing the game properly. So there's that, and then at one moment, a famous actor came in. Okay, I'm not going to mention the actor, but an actor came in, and there was lots because, you know, it's on the studios, and a lot of people come in just to see him play because he's there.
Of course.
And so, anyways, it was in between runs, and we're just about ready to play another run, and Tim Grover came over to say, so and so, famous so and so wants to talk to you, Mike.
Right.
And it was so intimate because I was right there when Tim came over. So I saw clearly the reaction and what was discussed. And Mike turned his back so that person could not see. And he said, "What the heck is this guy doing? Do I come down to him and bother him when he's getting ready to do a scene?" I said, "Why is he coming in? Why is he coming and disrupting my office?" He said, "No, I don't want to talk to him right now." And Tim had to go back and basically sent away an A-list legend actor. I won't mention the name. And so for me, so those memories of that experience stand out in my mind, and as great of an athlete he is in a league where probably the finest athletes in the world, that he was that one notch up in terms of drive, competitiveness.
Being there, when you are there, playing with Barkley, with Miller, with Jordan himself, are you cognitive of that moment? Do you?
I was nervous. I mean, I was like overwhelmed for the first. You are for the first, but then when when you get out there, you find yourself. I mean, you're also conditioned. I mean, I wasn't an NBA player, but
you were talking,
I was you adapt to, and then also, I could shoot the ball.
You were talking about getting confidence from the repetition.
Right.
You knew at the end of the day, all right, they might be who they are, but I still know how to shoot basketball.
I have a couple days up at UCLA playing with a lesser, still high level, right? Like top college players, and then a couple NBA players. So I was already, the first 2 days and 3 days that week was like, I came home. I think I remember the first 2 days I came back and I was like, okay, I just traveled about 19 hours in the car to get there. And so I think my body wasn't acclimated to physiologically I wasn't great. And so I had some bad days, and I was like, you're a young guy, you're like wanting to get better. And I was like going, oh man, I was a little bit down. I was like, I played like shit today. I was like, but I think I had a few days there before going over to the studios and getting the opportunity to do that, to acclimate myself and to get so you get out there with, that guy was an NBA guy, and maybe I didn't even recognize that guy, and I was out there with him, or you hear after, but then it's just like you just adapt. You like at one moment you just, okay, this is the tempo, this is the rhythm, this is the and that's what happens. So I'm not saying that I think that I just I think I held my own, and I think that I was I think that quickness-wise and athletically, I think that I was able to. I mean, I was athletic enough to be able to compete and guard people, and not get destroyed, and I think my ability to essentially shoot the three, and I had a little bit more space because again people were giving me, and then people were finding me, and it's just like anything. If you get into a rhythm and you get a level of confidence, then it's over.
Right.
It's like you get into that little mode there. So,
but I don't think it's a coincidence that you got hot. I don't think it was a matter of it being your day. I think that subconsciously when and if we're going to play a pickup game with Jordan and these guys again. So your body, your whole mind is at the highest level of alertness. Every single day practicing with basketball has led up to the point of you competing with these type of people. Like there's no next level. So every shot you took, every time you're getting the ball, you're already like, I think that you were just at a different mental space in terms of focus. And that, for example, I have a theory, why are there so many buzzer beaters all the time in the NBA? I think it's because players know when it's the shot that's do or die, win or lose, you shoot the ball a little bit differently. You go back to like paying attention to all of those little fundamentals that sometimes you're not doing when you're putting up your sixth shot in the middle of the second quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's just a different so I'm not surprised that you got hot and that you made all those shots. I could totally see that because
I think it's again it's repetition confidence. It's you get so many on that level if you're preparing yourself and you're practicing and on this in this mode, on this tempo, on this in this way, then it just becomes kind of a second nature thing. But it was it's just an experience that obviously I didn't play in the NBA, but it's something that like not obviously very many people would have an opportunity to be able to reflect on and share. So So it was
amazing.
special.
Do you need help making better decisions in your life? Are you lacking self-confidence and motivation to get things done? Hire me today and get a direct daily line of communication with me through video chat and audio messages. I operate on a week-to-week basis, so no long-term investment is required. 7 straight days of Viking advice will get you right on track. Email me at lorenz.dries@gmail.com and change your reality. I'm ready whenever you are. See you soon.